This guy pulls up with a sword in a world where everyone's blasting with guns. His squad, straight up the academy's official trash bin, filled with rejects with trauma issues, but the joke's on everyone else. Cause these so-called losers start racking up aura points, and now they're ready to body anyone. And I mean, anyone. At the Anti-Magic Academy, a group of guys mock Takaru, who is simply minding his own business. They make fun of his sword and call him names. Takeru can hear them and tries to stop himself from reacting to their gossip. Takeru joined the academy to make money so he can clear his late parents' debt and take care of his sister. His goal is to become a highly paid inquisitor. He arrives at a rusty-looking door, the 35th platoon office door, and knocks. A voice tells him to enter, and when he does, he sees Usagi cosplaying as a bunny. She is embarrassed, and as a tear drops from Takeru's eye, she attacks him, sitting on him while scolding him. Meanwhile, Ikaruga is taking pictures of their interaction and jokes about posting it, making Usagi run to her, begging her not to. Takaru feels a bit relieved. In Sugetsu's office, he reminds Uka that an inquisitor's job is to capture witches and seize magic items, not to end lives or cause destruction. Aoka replies that she knows, but she had no other choice but to end the witch. It was the only way she could handle the situation. Sugetsu tells her that regardless, there will be consequences. Uka will return to being a student at the academy, and Sugetsu assigns her to the 35th Test Platoon, also known as the Small Fry Platoon. In the 35th Platoon office, Usagi mentions that their points are low and they need to improve. Ikaruga has an idea and tells him about a mission they could take to increase their points. Everyone is locked in. Just then, the door swings open, and Sugetsu announces his glorious presence. He first roasts the platoon members for their poor performance, then tells them he has brought backup. Sugetsu introduces them to Aoka, his adopted daughter. Takeru recognizes her. They were classmates. Ikaruga questions why she is joining their platoon, but Uka says she can't tell her that. The tension in the room causes Sugetsu to quickly exit. Takaru tries to start a conversation with Uka, but she doesn't remember him, giving him the same reaction your crush gives you when you try to talk to them. That night, the platoon members set out on their mission. Takaru and Aoka infiltrate a building while Ikaruga basically tells them what to do. She explains the mission again, and Takaru and Uka swing into action. Usagi sets up her sniper rifle on a nearby building, ready to strike. When Takaru asks how things are going on her end, Usagi nervously responds that she is in position and has eyes on the target. Meanwhile, the exchange is taking place between Mari and some dude. Takaru and Uka take down the guard outside, and Usagi fires at the people inside. When Takaru badges in, he realizes there are many people in the room, and no one is down. It turns out, Usagi was on top of the wrong building and shot into the wrong one, taking out mannequins. Mari escapes out a window, and the guards corner Takaru. Takaru nervously laughs and tells him he is lost, but they know he is capping. They make fun of his sword, cause seriously, who uses swords anymore? Takaru won't let that slide. Ikaruga tries to talk him out of it, but the guards keep provoking him. Knowing there's nothing she can do to stop him, Ikaruga tells him to do as he wishes. One guy shoots at Takaru, but bro is on a whole different level with his speed and cuts through the bullet in an instant. The men are surprised. Takeru aura farms for a while before the men attack again, spraying bullets like they're money, and Takeru blocks every single one, leaving them speechless. As he prepares to counterattack, he suddenly hears his sister's voice. Ikaruga pulls out her mimicking card and mimics the voice of Takaru's sister, helping him calm down. The men see that he is distracted and want to attack, but suddenly everything goes dark, and Uka swings into action, literally taking out the men one after another very quickly. Takaru is amazed. Now they face the random dude, who uses instant magic to transform into a dragoon, one of the Inquisition's weapons, and Takaru wonders how he got it. Meanwhile, Usagi is still struggling to get to the snipping point. Oka tells Takeru to stay down and out of the way before skillfully dodging all attacks fired at her. Oka moves around the dragoon, shooting at it. When she stops, the dragoon attempts to punch her, but its body refuses to move as a result of Oka's attack. She then arrests the guy while giving him a pep talk. After she finishes, Takaru runs out to check on her but trips, falling on her. He gets up to realize his hand is resting on Uka's chest. Not knowing what to say or do, he awkwardly admits he's into flat chests, and Uka kicks him away. Usagi is late to the party and fires into the building, causing a part of the dragoon to fall on Takaru, knocking him out and making him fall onto Uka. A few days later, in the 35th platoon office, Usagi scolds Uka for always running off on missions alone, to which Uka responds that they are free to go on missions without her. Usagi is on the verge of collapsing while Takaru tries to hold her back. Ikaruga tells them not to stress, as Uka wouldn't listen to anything they say and is only focused on her own goals. Uka gives her a comeback, telling them they suck and would only slow her down. After pointing out their flaws, she leaves. Takaru encourages the others to try to mend things with Aoka and suggests throwing her a welcome party. They prepare everything and patiently wait for Aoka to arrive. Ikaruga knows Uka won't appreciate any of it, but Takeru insists that it's highly recommended in his How to Get Along with a New Employee book. He's confident that Uka will warm up to them after the party, but it's just as Ikaruga suspected. Immediately, Uka walks in and Takaru welcomes her, but she scolds them for partying during activity hours. Takaru tries to explain that they organized the party for her, but she brushes him off. As she turns to leave, Takaru notices her injured hand and questions her about it, but she ignores him as she steps outside. Takaru follows her and eventually catches up. He tells her that as the captain, he cannot ignore an injured teammate. Aoka tells him to do as he wishes and walks away. He follows her to a hideout where she is investigating Valhalla, an unknown magic association. They take out a guard outside, but when they try to enter the building, Takeru accidentally sets off a trap. Aoka quickly pushes him out of the way just as the place explodes. The noise alerts two guys who start shooting at them, but Takeru destroys their bullets. Aoka takes them down and goes to check inside the container while Takeru handcuffs the dudes on the floor. When Uka takes too long to return, Takaru goes to find her. On entering inside, he sees bloodied trash cans and Uka is very angry She cries and apologizes to the victims for showing up too late. Uka walks back outside and shoots one of the men. Takeru rushes out to stop her, warning that she'll be in trouble if she unalives them and could lose her Inquisitor license. Auka is blinded by rage. Her hatred for witches has just tripled. She tells Takeru that a witch unalived her family, which is why she hates witches and magic. She had also vowed to dedicate her life to eliminating witches. As she tries to shoot the guard again, Takeru grabs her hand, redirecting her aim. He encourages her, promising to support her. Uka is moved to tears. The next day at the academy, Takeru, on his way to his platoon office, overhears students gossiping about Uka. He suddenly has flashbacks of the promises he made to her the previous night and cringes, regretting it. Meanwhile, Sogetsu informs Uka that a member of her platoon is a Relic Eater candidate. She is surprised because, to her teammates suck. Sogetsu reminds her that Relic Eaters choose their own partners, leaving Uka upset before she storms off. Sogetsu then notices Lapis, a Relic Eater, standing by his window and tells her that he hopes she forms a contract soon. That night, Mari meets with Haunted, a necromancer and an alchemist, but at the moment looks like low-budget Sanji as a butcher. Mari hands him the magic fragment she got and questions how many people he sacrificed. He estimates it to be around 50, and his goal is to summon an Einherjar. Mari is not happy that he keeps smoking people. Haunted tells her he won't harm ordinary people as half of the people he put down were criminals. He reminds Mari that their true enemy in Valhalla is the Inquisition and claims they will put an end to the unfair treatment and judgment witches face. Mari warns him to keep his promise before she leaves. Back at the academy, Usagi is practicing her snipping skills. She convinces her Delulu self that she only messed up earlier because she was nervous, but promises to show them what she got on their next mission. Just then, Uka enters, and Takuro suggests they should all get lunch together. Uka refuses, saying Sugetsu told her Takuro is trying to become an Inquisitor just for the money. She goes all out scolding him until Ikaruga comes to his rescue. She snitches that Uka was stripped of her rank as an Inquisitor, which is why she is now at the academy. Ikaruga adds that other Inquisitors refer to Uka as Calamity due to her habit of taking out criminals without orders. Uka doesn't deny this and quietly leaves. Meanwhile, Haunted casts a spell in the city and summons the Einherjar. Takaru follows Uka to her family's gravesite. It's giving stalker vibes. He questions how her family died and Uka tells him of how she was manipulated to delete her family, saying it's the reason why she has sworn to dedicate her life to annihilating witches. Suddenly, there is an explosion. It's Einherjar. Haunted commands it to target the Anti-Magic Academy and free the imprisoned witches. Ghouls crawl out, beginning to invade the city. Auka quickly runs into action and gets information about the situation from a knight. Meanwhile, Takaru defeats some ghouls. On his way to find Uka, he hears Lapis's voice but cannot see her. Ikaruga contacts Takaru through his earpiece so he can hear Sogetsu's announcement to the school. Sugetsu informs all students about the Einherjar in the city and requests their assistance in defeating it as it is targeting the academy. After the announcement ends, Ikaruga asks what they should do. Takaru suggests they sit this one out, knowing the abilities of his teammates and that they wouldn't stand a chance against the enemy. Ikaruga agrees, but she knows Takaru is going to fight anyway. Takaru admits this and says he's fighting to protect Uka. When Auka reaches the battleground, she finds another student who warns her to dip because the Einherjar is too powerful to be defeated. But it's too late and the Einherjar is already there. And also, Auka's mama didn't raise no coward, so she chooses to fight. In the first shot, Uka discovers a barrier around the Einherjar. Uka fires more, not giving up. The Einherjar grabs her, flinging her away. Uka is hurt but refuses to give up. She's determined to fight till the end. As a last resort, she summons her twin pistols, Vlad, a gun-type Relic Eater. She first asks Vlad to heal her injured leg and then instructs it to unlock the trigger. Due to her refusal to sign a contract with Vlad, she can only access its first level. Meanwhile, Sugetsu watches the battle from his office. Vlad analyzes the enemy for Uka before she attacks again. However, her attacks don't do much, so she switches up and unlocks a higher level of Vlad. She uses her blood instead of forming a contract. Her next strike shatters the Einherjar's barrier, giving Uka hope of defeating it. But just as she prepares for another attack, Vlad notifies her that its master has ordered it to stop helping and vanishes. The Einherjar uses that moment of distraction to launch a sneak attack, sending Auka flying. She wonders what Sugetsu is playing at. As the Einherjar prepares to finish her off, Takaru appears, knocking it away. Auka tells Takaru to run, saying it's impossible for him, but Takaru is not here to play. Bro feels samurai-ish. Approaching the Einherjar, he vows to make it pay for hurting Uka. His catchphrase triggers a memory in Uka, making her remember where she knew him from. Takeru engages in a fierce battle with the Einherjar. His teammates also help him. Just when they seem to gain the upper hand, the Einherjar unleashes powerful hallmark magic against Takeru. The impact of the magic throws Uka far away, while Takaru lies almost lifeless on the ground, thinking about how his life is about to end. Just then, Lapis appears to him. She tells him that he has been chosen as the second contractor, and Takaru finds himself in a strange place. She proceeds to ask him a series of questions. After that, they form a contract. Lapis heals all his injuries before he finally has his Power Ranger transformation moment. Takaru reappears on the battlefield ready to witch hunt. Lapis appears to him again, explaining that she is from a Relief Eater series that can only be used by Inquisitors, and that he is now her owner. She tells him to fight as Einherjar approaches and gives him a tip. Takeru charges into battle. Ikaruga does not recognize him, but he promises to explain everything to her when he gets back. Uka is surprised as she realizes that Takeru is the person Sugetsu was talking about. The Einherjar and Takaru go band for band until Einherjar pulls his goated move, Hallmark Magic. But this time, Takaru can also use this magic, and with Lapis's guidance, he puts up a solid defense against Einherjar's attack. Lapis absorbs Einherjar's magic and unleashes it during Takaru's next strike, ultimately defeating Einherjar. jar. Haunted, who has been watching the entire fight, is impressed with Takaru's skills. Takaru settles beside Aoka and tells her that he wants to share half of her burden, saying that she should rely on him. Hopefully he won't cringe the next morning when he remembers this. He finally rests his head on her thigh. Elsewhere, Mari is surrounded by inquisitors. She is under arrest for murder, but suddenly she faints. Sogetsu asks about Mari, and Hayato tells him that her memories were wiped to prevent anyone from getting information from her. He suspects that she is the Auroral Witch who has been on their wanted list for the past 3 years. When the doors to Mari's prison open, Sugetsu welcomes her to the Anti-Magic Academy. Later, Sugetsu explains all about a relic eater to the members of the 35th platoon. He introduces them to Lapis, the only relic eater who lacks a host because she is a sword type and needs someone with strong combat abilities. He says that someone like Takaru would be ideal for her. Sugetsu also explains that Lapis enjoys taking human form and has placed her in their class, asking them to keep an eye on her. He has also prepared a fake ID for her. Usagi wonders if that is why he called all of them in, but Sugetsu informs them that he has a mission for them since they performed well in the previous one. He calls in Mari and introduces her to the others. He says that she has been admitted on an experimental basis to see whether witches can join the Inquisition. A witch fighting against other witches? Uka is upset that Mari would be joining them, and Sugetsu knows about her hatred for witches. Still, he instructs everyone to guard Mari and keep her identity a secret for the time being. As they leave the office, everyone trails after Mari, but she tells them to leave her alone, insisting that she doesn't need to be guarded. She explains that she can't run away because her collar has a GPS, and Takaru adds that if she uses magic, the collar would explode. While the others agree to give Mari space, Aoka insists on their mission. She warns Mari not to move without informing them, resulting in a heated argument between the two until Takaru steps in and stops Aoka while Mari walks away angrily. During training, Aoka performs better than Mari and mocks her. She also does better in sports, but Mari manages to answer a question in class that Aoka wasn't able to. At lunch, Mari takes the last piece of bread and they begin another round of arguments, mocking each other's flaws. Takaru attempts to separate them, but they both punch him away. Uka quickly checks on Takaru, while Mari scolds him for poking his nose in their business. Later, Mari hands Takaru a cold drink to place on his swelling from the earlier incident. Takeru apologizes for Uka's behavior, asking Mari to understand that she has been through a lot and isn't a bad person. Mari tells him not to apologize, reminding him that she is a witch and is meant to be their enemy. Takaru says she is one of them now, and Mari goes off on him, warning him against trusting people too easily. She tosses the drink can away, but it falls short of the trash can, and she quietly picks it up and disposes of it properly. This action makes Takaru laugh. He points out that she is trying to act like a villain, but is busy doing good deeds. He then asks why she joined the Inquisition, and Mari expresses her desire to change the world's view that magic is dangerous, saying it can be helpful to people. Takaru then admits that not all witches are bad. As he tries to leave, Mari asks for his name. After they exchange names, they both decide to refer to each other by their first names. Meanwhile, Haunted is sulking over losing Mari. He recalls how she scolded him the previous day because of the stunt he pulled with Einherjar. While they argue, the Inquisitors arrive, and Haunted casts a spell and unalives the men. Mari tries to save them, but it's too late. More men arrive to arrest them, but Haunted ditches Mari and also casts a forgetfulness spell on her, causing her to faint. His weird-looking staff comments that Haunted should have used an explosive spell on Mari instead, but he says Mari is useful to him and ending her would be a waste. He feels that she just needed a little mental torture. Haunted then decides to rescue Mari. Mari and Uka continue arguing in the platoon office, and the others ignore them. Only Takaru intervenes again. He obviously did not learn from the last blow. He sternly scolds them both, making Uka realize that he is referring to Mari by her first name. Mari uses the opportunity to rage bait Aoka, clinging to Takaru as if they were a couple. Takaru tries to explain that there is nothing between them, but their argument continues until Usagi, clearly fed up, yells at them to stop. She tells them it's not the time to argue as they have a tournament coming up. Takeru checks the notice board to confirm the news is legit. Koya, the captain of the 15th platoon, approaches Takeru, asking if his platoon truly plans to participate in the tournament. After Takeru confirms this, Kyoya calls them losers, claiming they are only trying to farm points. He then says that he can't wait for the second round, where both platoons will face off. Bro has evil plans for our poor samurai. Kyoya then walks away, and Akira apologizes to Takeru on his behalf. As Takeru leaves school in the evening, he finds Mari waiting for him. She informs him that she will be staying at his place, which comes as a shock to Takeru. Uka suddenly appears, accusing Mari of using a love spell on Takeru. She insists that she cannot allow Mari to be alone with him, so she decides to stay with them. As they walk, Uka explains that Mari has to stay with Takeru, as there are no other options. She reassures Takeru that she won't leave him alone with a witch, so she doesn't attack him. When they arrive, Takeru's apartment feels super creepy. Aoka is on the verge of changing her mind, but the thought of leaving Takeru alone with Mari seems more dangerous, so they proceed inside. Takeru gives them the key and tells him to go in first while he goes to work. As he leaves, Uka tries to follow him, but Mari holds her back. She's scared too. Meanwhile, two Inquisitors are watching outside Takeru's apartment, waiting for Valhalla to appear. When Takeru returns home, he finds Mari just out of the shower, drying herself. Their interaction is awkward. Soon after, Aoka, unaware that Takeru is home, rushes out and trips. She's scared thinking she saw a ghost, causing all three of them to fall together. Later that night, Mari and Takeru have a late-night conversation where she tells him her doubt about getting along with anyone since she's a witch and they are human. Their worlds are so different. The next day at the tournament, the members of the 35th platoon give their best effort in the first round, and with Mari's help, they win, advancing to the second round. After the first round, they go out to celebrate, while Uka leaves to submit their report. When she enters Sugetsu's office, she finds it empty and stumbles upon Mari's file, where she realizes that Mari is involved with Valhalla. Back at the festival, Takaru tells Mari that Ikaruga and Usagi were just like her and Uka, which is why he believes that she and Uka would get along someday, becoming a great duo. He reminds her that, regarding their conversation the previous night, she is no different from them and shouldn't isolate herself just because she's a witch. Mari confesses that she doesn't remember her past, but through her flashbacks, she thinks she was a horrible person. Takeru reassures her that it doesn't matter, he'll accept her no matter what. Mari mumbles a thanks, but when Takeru asks what she said, she brushes it off and drags him to have fun instead. The next day during the tournament, as the 35th platoon awaits their turn, Uka arrives late and asks to speak with Takeru. She informs him of all the dirt she found about Mari. The match between the 15th and 35th platoons begins, while some inquisitors keep a close watch for any signs of Valhalla. Hayato informs Sogetsu that Uka has seen the information about Marie, but Sogetsu knows Takaru won't change his mind about her. During the tournament, Kyoya shouts at the small fry platoon to make a move, bragging that he'll destroy them quickly. Suddenly, Akira rushes out in pain as a plant sprouts from her stomach, hitting Kyoya and knocking him out. For someone who was bragging that much, he's quite weak. Takaru tries to help her, but she collapses and a flower blooms, revealing Haunted. He introduces himself while Sogetsu is enjoying the show with snacks, probably imagining he's in the movie theater. Haunted tells Mari he's here to rescue her, but she doesn't remember him. Guards begin firing at him but suddenly stop. Then Haunted creates a barrier, trapping the platoon members with him. While the guards struggle to penetrate the magic field, the dragoons are affected by magical interference and start shooting at the guards. Hayato requests permission to use a relic eater, and Sugetsu agrees, but instructs him to leave Haunted for Takaru's team. Meanwhile, Haunted continues to provoke Mari, and Takaru tells her to hide while he handles Haunted. Haunted threatens to end Takaru if he interrupts his reunion with Mari. Takaru then summons his relic eater and transforms. He asks Lapis for information on Haunted, which she provides. Haunted pretends to want to back out now that Takeru has transformed, but Takeru says he is not so forgiving and attacks. Unknown to Takeru, Haunted has a plan. He pulls out his staff and pierces Takeru. As Takaru falls, Lapis heals him. Haunted also transforms. Uka tries to wake Usagi, but she's unresponsive. Then Ikaruga arrives and starts dissing Usagi, and only then does she wake up to defend herself. Aoka contacts Sugetsu through her earpiece and tells him she's holding him responsible for Mari's arrest, claiming she found evidence that Mari isn't guilty of murder. Sugetsu knows she wants to strike a deal and decides to hear her out. Takaru is surprised that Haunted can transform into a witch hunter as well, but Lapis explains it's a hero transformation involving a lost type magic item called Danesleeve. Haunted tells Mari that she should come with him since she's one of them, but she refuses. Haunted then releases her from the forgetfulness spell, allowing her to remember her time in the orphanage. She recalls how, when the building was on fire, Haunted approached her, claiming that Valhalla had captured all the orphans and that she had to cooperate to have them released. Haunted tells Marie that if she returns with him, he won't hurt Takaru and will let her see the other kids from the orphanage. Takaru tells Marie that Haunted is lying and that he will not let her see the kids. According to what Uka told him, the children are dead. Mari finds it hard to believe since she often spoke with the children. Haunted mocks her, then brings the children from the ground, reminding her that he's a necromancer and reviving them is a piece of cake. He also admits to being the one who sent all of them to their maker. Aoka is heartbroken by this revelation, and her screams give Haunted the satisfaction he craves. Aoka breaks down in tears, and Takaru urges her that if she wants to atone for her sins, she should use her magic to help people, which has always been her dream. He also promises to share half of her burden if it becomes too much for her. Mari is touched by his words, but Haunted begins to laugh, making fun of Takaru's heartwarming speech. Their fight resumes, and Haunted has the upper hand. He strikes Takaru down, but Takaru quickly gets back up and tries to continue fighting, but his body freezes. Lapis runs an analysis on him to realize that Danesleaf's attack continues to affect him for a short while after the initial impact. Takeru doesn't care and orders Lapis to change his sword form. He attacks Haunted, and on Takeru's orders, Lapis changes his sword to suit the situation. Their fight continues briefly before Haunted uses Akira to distract Takeru and gains the upper hand again. Mari is watching everything and then decides to help Takeru with an important spell she learned at the orphanage. Because of her collar, she knows this will be the last time she uses magic. As she casts her spell, the collar beeps, but Haunted easily dodges her attack. He tells her that her form is terrible and that even when she's consumed by bloodlust, she still sucks. Emotional damage. The collar continues to beep and she closes her eyes, anticipating death. Suddenly the beeping stops and Uka appears, assuring her that she won't explode. Her deal with Sugetsu was to disarm the collar, but she adds that she didn't do it for Mari, she did it for Takaru. Aoka tells Mari to prove that magic can save lives and help Takeru. Mari agrees but says she isn't doing it for Aoka either. Aoka buys Mari some time by throwing a mana-consuming dust, allowing Mari to prepare her spell. Aoka keeps firing at Haunted, and just when he's about to attack her, Usagi fires, helping Aoka escape. Haunted admits that they're a formidable force. Mari's magic is ready, and she fires at Haunted with all her might but misses once again. Unknown to Haunted, Lapis has absorbed the magic, while he continues running his mouth. Haunted casts his own spell, and Takaru attacks. They're toe-to-toe, but eventually, Lapis overpowers Danesleaf, thanks to Mari's magic that it had absorbed. With one final strike, Takeru hits and defeats Haunted, causing him to flee. Takeru is too weak and falls as the barrier is lifted. Mari rushes to him, thanking him for all the encouragement that helped her fight. The next day, at Usagi's house, her mother tells her that she will be getting married due to her poor grades and that this month will be her last at the academy. Usagi tries to beg, but the woman is resolute. At school, the students gather as Reima announces the re-establishment of a witch hunting festival. festival. He introduces a new rule, a special currency that will be used during the festival, which can be exchanged for credit points and cash. Everyone is happy. Mari, knowing that the platoon members need points, encourages them to join the festival. However, Uka disagrees, arguing that they should take on missions to earn the points instead. But Takeru has found the perfect opportunity. He excitedly informs them in the office that they will participate in the festival. Ikaruga, the snitch, reveals to the others that Takeru's parents left him in debt, which is why he is so motivated. Takeru is busy doing mental calculations on what they need. Usagi, who has just arrived, overhears their conversation about the festival and is relieved that they can manage without her. However, Takeru suddenly asks about her, and from their discussion, she realizes that they care about her and that she is important to them. Well, that is before Ikaruga starts teasing her, forcing her to come in and defend herself. While they're discussing, Ishida, the captain of the 23rd platoon, comes to propose that the two platoons join forces for the witch hunting festival, since they both have small numbers. Takeru agrees. In the hallway, Usagi wonders why Takeru agreed, as she wanted to spend her last month with her teammates alone. Just then, she bumps into Reima. He reveals that he changed schools because of her and tells her she won't have to be there for long. Usagi begins to have a panic attack, and Reima adds that she will be his forever. Takeru sees them and rushes over to help Usagi, even though he is unsure of what is happening. Reima introduces himself as Usagi's childhood friend and, before he leaves, Takeru to take care of Usagi, as she is very important to him. Takeru is confused but tries to comfort Usagi, and when she asks for his help, he promises to help her even without knowing what she needs help with. Meanwhile, Shizuka, the student council secretary, tells Uka that the president wants to see her. She takes Uka to their hideout where the president, Nagaru, welcomes her happily. Nagaru tells her they need her help. She explains about a witch named Mephistopheles, who devours the human mind. Uka knows she doesn't exist, but Nagaru says it's real and says it assaulted her subordinates, ending everyone except her and Shizuka. The news comes as a shock to Aoka. Meanwhile, Usagi is taken to the school clinic and the others visit her. Mari wonders why Uka is not present. Ikaruga reminds Mari that she has to leave too for some anti-magic experiment, and if Mari ditches, she might be thrown out of school. Ikaruga adds that they should leave it to Takeru, but he has work too. Usagi holds on to him, so he has no choice but to stay while the others leave. Later, when Usagi wakes up and asks Takeru what happened, he explains that she fainted in the hallway. She questions if he stayed by her side the entire time, then realizes she is still holding his hand and quickly lets go. Takeru offers to take her home. Meanwhile, Nagaru reveals that Reima transferred to their school a month ago, and it's been a month since they were attacked. She finds it a bit sus. On the way home, Usagi, though hesitant at first, opens up to Takeru about her parents' plans to marry her off to Ryuma and that this will be her last month at the academy. She attempts to run away, but Takeru catches up and suggests she stay at his place for the night. While taking a shower, Usagi's mind goes through a possibility of things that might happen, and she is already fantasizing about a future with Takeru, just like you do after one conversation with your crush. She then concludes that they'll get intimate and wonders if Takeru would be pleased. When Usagi exits the bathroom, Takeru is surprised to see her wrapped in a towel. She tries to be direct despite being shy, but as she moves closer to him, she trips and he instinctively catches her. In that moment, the towel, a paid actor, falls away, revealing everything. Usagi tells him it's her first experience and that she doesn't know what to do. Takeru is confused about the whole situation. Usagi leans in for a lips convention, and just then, the others come in. Immediately they see the sight, they all freeze, then jump the guy, even though it's really not his fault. Once everything calms down, Takeru explains the situation to them, including Usagi's impending marriage. Ikaruga jokingly suggests that Usagi should marry Takeru instead, and the others disagree. Usagi asks why everyone is there, and Takeru says he invited them to strategize how to get her out of her situation. He knows that they just need to improve their grades so that Usagi's family will be happy. He assures them that they can do it during the witch hunting festival, which will convince Usagi's parents to allow her to continue at the academy. However, Usagi refuses their help, insisting that she has nothing to offer in return. Ikaruga tells her that her problem is now their problem. No one is backing out. Usagi is moved to tears. Takeru reminds her of the many times she has saved their lives, explaining that without her, they would all be gone. This is why they are there to help her too. Ikaruga comes up with a plan for their victory, a cosplay party that involves little to no clothing and Takeru dressed as a maid. They then take a picture together as a keepsake. Usagi places the photograph of her and the team on her locker next to a picture of her and her grandfather. Feeling jolly from being newly assured that she has real friends, she tells her grandfather in the picture that she isn't alone. Uka walks down pondering everything she has heard about Rima. She comes across a girl painting on the ground and is curious about why. The girl mentions that Rima asked for it as decorations for the festival. Another thing to add to Uka's train of thought, as this is sus. Rima stumbles upon Takeru taking out trash. After getting Takeru's attention, he states that he anticipates seeing what Takeru has to offer in the festival, pointing out that the festival will be Usagi's final memory of the campus. At this point, he's only rage baiting Takeru as he gloats about Usagi being his belonging and the fact that they're getting married. Takeru stops him at this point as Ryaima's constant use of the word belonging to refer to Usagi ticks him. He points out that Usagi belongs to no one, adding that Ryama wouldn't call her that if she were truly precious to him. Seeing as Takeru is defensive, Ryama questions who he is to Usagi and Takuda states that they are comrades. The thought of Usagi having actual comrades cracks Ryama up and he laughs, almost as if it's impossible. Takeru is agitated and asks why Ryama is laughing. Ryama says it's genuinely funny that Usagi has comrades when she unalived her own brother. His punchable face doesn't help matters as he drops this big reveal with the silliest grin. This is unbelievable to Takeru, angering him to the point of threatening to cut Ryama down if he doesn't shut up. Ryama, still calmly rage baiting, states he isn't lying crying, he tells Takeru to calm down and mockingly assures him he'll take care of Usagi. Takeru, filled with rage, says he and the team won't let Ryoma take Usagi, and Ryoma takes the challenge, stating that he'll do everything in his power to take her. He shrubs off Takeru's grip and goes his way. His rage-baiting mode is off, and it's almost as if he feels insulted by Takeru's audacity. With the aid of Vlad, Uka views the campus from above, observing the full version of the painting for the festival on the floor. Vlad explains that it is a type of magic circle that takes over the mind, and Uka understands how grave the situation is, as this type of spell could hurt someone. Usagi is walking down the hallway when she meets Ryoma. As usual, he begins his emotional bullying, but although shaken, Usagi tries to stand her ground, saying she won't listen to him anymore. Ryoma says Usagi can never escape his grasp, and brings up the fact that she unalived her brother. After antagonizing her with it and stating that he's the only one she has, Usagi finally breaks down. Ryoma takes so much delight in this. Shizuoka reports to Nagaru that she has confirmed that Ryoma is Mephisto and mentions that she'll head out to capture her. Nagura apologizes for stressing Shizuoka, sending her on errands, and Shizuoka doesn't have a problem with it, pointing out that she would give her life if Nagura commanded it. Nagura apologizes for not being able to protect Shizuoka right before pulling a gun on her. The real Shizuoka would have replied saying she wishes to be a spy anyway when Nagura apologized for sending her on missions. Shizuoka's imposter, seeing as she has been busted, pulls a gun as well, and they exchange bullets, not in a nice way. Takeru hurriedly enters their base, searching for Usagi, but only finds Mari. Mari replies that she is out shopping and decides to follow Takeru as he continues his search, as she is curious if there's anything wrong. Aoka readies her weapon and is on standby to bust Ryoma, and she moves in as soon as Shizuoka's imposter joins her. She isn't aware that Shizuoka isn't really Shizuoka. As she moves in, Aoka meets Ryoma standing over Usagi, who lies unconscious at his feet. Without hesitation, she aims her gun at him, declaring that Ryoma is under arrest. He objects, insisting that he hasn't done anything yet. Uka points out her suspicion about Ryoma being Mephisto, but just then, Shizuoka switches up, revealing herself to be the real Mephisto. Aoka is in shock, and with her weapon now aimed at Mephisto, Ryoma has the opening to move in and place a spell on her. Mephisto immediately activates the spell as soon as Aoka is distracted and transfers her soul into Oka's body. Just before Mephisto takes over, Uka quickly hits the control switch for Mari's collar, and it gets deactivated. It is unusual, and Mari wonders what is going on. Just then, Takeru receives a call from Nagura, who had narrowly escaped Mephisto because she was wearing a bulletproof vest. Nagura explains that Uka is in danger, adding that she needs Takura's platoon's help. Despite possessing Uka's body, Mephisto still experiences a slight problem, as Uka's soul isn't fully gone, just dormant, like a split personality. She mentions that she'll have to activate the magic on the campus sooner than planned, and Ryoma doesn't like the sound of that. He protests, reminding her of their deal. He transferred schools for Mephisto and has done everything because she promised to make the academy his. His ranting angers Mephisto, who lifts him off the ground like a paperweight. Mephisto points out that the only reason she's keeping him alive is that she feels there's an advantage to having him under her control considering his position. Ryoma whimpers and probably is crapping himself as Mephisto reminds him of who is boss. Finally, she lets him go and he falls to the ground like a deflated tube man. Mephisto assures that when she's done with her plans, Ryoma can have the school all to himself. She can't wait to get her body back and hints at seeking revenge. Nagura explains the scenario to Takeru, mentioning that Mephisto intends to get her body, which is locked away in the academy, back by using a magical item to brainwash the students. Takeru is already really pissed off and mentions he won't take any orders from Nagura. He states that he's going to save his comrade, and Nagura is fine with that. Getting off the call with Nagura, Takeru asks for Lapis's help locating Uka and Usagi, but Lapis only knows of Usagi's whereabouts. It's fine for a start, and Takeru instructs Mari to lift the magic spell off the campus. Usagi is dressed as a bride at a church, but is still unconscious. She has a trance about her incident with her brother. The dude was messing around, thinking he was John Wick when Usagi tried to stop him. Bro ended up like Spider-Man's Uncle Ben. At his place of rest, Ryoma met Usagi, and after taunting and basically bullying her, he decided she was going to belong to him. As she wakes up, she finds Ryoma there, and he claims it is their wedding night. As usual, he bullies and even hits her, and she doesn't fight back, at least not yet. She's on the brink of allowing Ryoma to do as he pleases when she remembers her comrades and the assurance that she isn't alone. She suddenly has the drive to fight back and goes all zombie on Ryoma, biting him while she low-key thought he was a burger. Ryoma is enraged and transforms. At least he won't be treated as food with this armor. As Ryoma is about to attack Usagi, Takeru makes an entrance and hits him away. Usagi is relieved to see Takeru, and after a brief moment, Takeru tells her to go to help Mari, handing her a drive to take to Ikaruga for the details. Usagi is confused but complies anyway, making Takeru promise to give Ryoma the beating of his life. With Usagi gone, the throwdown begins. Usagi prepares for her mission and is handed her grandfather's gun. She's confused, but Ikaruga explains that it is easier to use than her regular rifle. Ikaruga also fills her in, handing her 2 special bullets which would be able to unalive Mephisto's soul, but warns her to be cautious and avoid vital parts so as not to gravely harm Uka, the real owner of the body. Mari starts the process of destroying the magic spell, but Mephisto gets to her soon, pretending to be Uka. She tries getting Mari's attention, and the fact that she seems worried about Mari sells her off, as Mari is aware Uka would never worry about her. Mephisto doesn't waste any time in stepping out of her act and is about to fire at Mari, but Usagi arrives and tackles Mephisto down. As soon as Mephisto recovers, she casts a spell on Usagi and makes an escape. The spell attracts a whole bunch of people. It probably made her look like a PS5 console, and Usagi is now occupied with trying to evade them. Ryoma, as expected, loses to Takeru. Takeru dares him to say Usagi is his belonging as he offers often does, but Ryoma is tongue-tied. Takeru takes a swing at him, stops midway and leaves him be, but bro already wet himself. Lapis asks why Takeru didn't finish off Ryoma, and Tascaris responds that Usagi didn't ask him to, and he doesn't even think Ryoma is worth it. His mind is fixed on the main issue at hand. Mephisto is back and starts shooting at Mari immediately, but Takeru intervenes on arriving at the scene. Mephisto isn't bothered by his presence and summons Uka's Relic Eater, which she uses to easily take down Takeru's armor. Mephisto has the edge in the clash, but then senses Usagi is heading back to them, and something clever comes to her mind. Usagi returns to see both Takeru and Uka face off against each other. Both of them seem incredibly convincing as themselves, and Uka mentions that Mephisto is currently inside Tokaru. Usagi is indecisive as this is a really confusing situation, but Tokaru asks her to shoot him and then shoot Uka if she is unsure of what to do. Uka tries to convince Usagi otherwise, but Takeru asks Usagi to trust him. At this point, it is clear to Usagi that Uka is possessed by Mephisto. She quickly aims to shoot, but just before she takes the shot, Uka's consciousness gains some control, probably with the power of friendship, and urges Usagi to shoot. She struggles to hold her body in place for the shot, but Mephisto makes a run for it. She doesn't get far when Usagi shoots her down. Mephisto's soul emerges and Usagi quickly reloads the second bullet and finally finishes her off. Uka is still unconscious, and they all panic, including Mari, who had just successfully destroyed the spell. Just then, Ikaruga arrives and after checking Uka's pulse, confirms that she's fine. Uka manages to speak with the little consciousness she has garnered and asks them to be quiet. They are all relieved that she's fine. Ikaruga meets Sujetsu at his office as he requested. He shows her a picture taken by their spy at the Alchemist Corporation and refers to the diagram on it as a dark elf cell, also known as the Lost Matrix. He mentions that the alchemists want to create a weapon with it. Ikaruga seems totally clueless about anything and says that, regardless of what species, no one has ever been able to clone a legendary creature. She adds that there are no cells left to research. Sugetsu says the Lost Matrix was stolen years ago and mentions that Ikaruga used to work there and had quite a reputation. Given this background, he hopes Ikaruga might have some information about the Lost Matrix. However, Ikaruga insists that she doesn't know anything about it and takes her leave. Sugetsu knows Ikaruga is lying, and instead of doing things the hard way, as his subordinate, Hayato, suggests, he wants to keep calm and watch what she does, as he believes the more advantage they have over the alchemist, the better. As Ikaruga leaves, she makes a phone call, speaking as though it's a reunion. Each platoon's results are out on campus, and Takeru's platoon has the least performance. This isn't just embarrassing, but discouraging to Usagi and Takeru, but Mari doesn't seem bothered about it and even taunts them. Just then, Ikaruga arrives, and when questioned about what she was doing, as she stayed away for a while, she plays the question away. At their base, they all rack their brains thinking of ways to get points and help their platoon's miserable position. Usagi mentions the borders as being the only option to find a good mission, but that's a terrible idea as the borders are extremely dangerous. While this goes on, Ikaruga is in her own space, not in the mood to mingle. At least that's what she tells Takeru. Over tea, they discuss how poorly their platoon has performed and how it has shown no signs of progress. Eventually, Ikagura makes the conversation weird. Classic Ikagura behavior. She walks up to the others and says she's taking a leave of absence. Everyone is surprised and confused, but again, she doesn't say why and just plays the question off, and this time Takeru is fed up. Ikaruga says goodbye and leaves before anyone can say anything. Takeru recalls how he and she first met solely because she said goodbye, which isn't like her. As he points out the oddness of that, Usagi attests to the fact that there's something off about Ikaruga. Haunted meets a certain lady scientist at a lab, Ikagura's twin, Isuka. They seem to be allies. As they discuss, she updates him on her attempt to resurrect the Dark Elves, who look like the bird fries crumbs at the bottom of the deep fryer, telling him it has been a failure. Haunted doesn't understand her obsession with Dark Elves and feels it stems from some form of hatred, but Isuka claims she feels nothing of the sort. She's simply too nonchalant for emotions. They start walking, and Haunted continues the dialogue, bringing up a conversation about her betrayal of Alchemist to join them here at Valhalla. When he learns that she made him unalive scientists at Valhalla for nothing personal and just practical reasons, he is enraged. Haunted wants Isuka to at least feel something for human life, at least a valid reason or emotion. Isuka clarifies that it was Haunted who committed the act, not her. Her only responsibility is to resurrect the Dark Elves. Suddenly, she experiences a brief migraine, signaling that someone has leaked information about the Lost Matrix. Haunted asks if she can trust this information, and Isuka affirms that she can, as the leaker is none other than the thief herself, her sister, Ikaruga. Takeru and the team are following Ikaruga when she pulls some spy stunt, losing them. They're marveled she could evade them so quickly, but soon realize she got into a sewer below. They deduce she is heading for the border, and Maria knows how to navigate the sewers, but none of this is useful if they don't know her current location. Just then, Lapis pops up to assist, giving the same vibe as if you could summon ChatGPT during an exam. Ikaruga discusses with Isuka, and it seems they have a deal. Ikaruga is to give up the Lost Matrix, and Isuka will let her examine the experiments. Isuka points out that this doesn't mean that Ikaruga has a place there with her, and Ikaruga is cool with that, as her primary concern is resurrecting the Dark Elves. Isuka asks why she stole the Lost Matrix in the first place, and Ikaruga explains that if she stayed at Alchemist, she would have been executed. So she decided to leave with the Lost Matrix and continue her experiments in the outside world. Isuka doesn't seem to believe her and feels Ikaruga has some underlying plan. However, Ikaruga finds their argument pointless. She just wants to get on with their deal. Just then, a couple of soldiers block her path. Meanwhile, at the surface, Takeru and the others are being fired at by gunmen and are running for their lives. Mari falls and Takeru goes back to help her up, which, to be fair, without plot armor, he should be full of holes now. They come across the soldiers who went after Ikaruga Ikaruga, and she's already detained. Takeru and Uka take out the soldiers, and Takeru carries Ikaruga to safety, away from the continuous gunshots. Takeru intends to return to back the rest of the team up, but Ikaruga says they can't fight the attackers. Takeru understands this sooner when these guys release a bunch of Hulkbusters that'll make Iron Man's version look like a Lego. The Dragoons open fire at Takeru and Ikaruga, and it basically overwhelms any thoughts of fighting back. Takeru tries to go help the others, but he has taken serious damage and can barely move. Ikaruga takes him somewhere safe, although he's still bent on going after the rest of the platoon. Isuka watches the chaos unfold from a distance when she receives a call from Ikagura. Isuka was behind the attack, for whatever suspicions she had. She explains that Takeru and the others are merely her platoon members and that there's nothing serious or concerning about their arrangement. Ikagura adds that if anything happens to any of them, she will withdraw from the deal. This infuriates Isuka. Sugetsu just learns from Suzaku, the head manager of Alchemist, that Alchemist didn't authorize the research on the Dark Elves. There has been a research lab acting independently. Sugetsu points out that, given her position, Suzaku can't shift the responsibility. Suzaku is well aware and offers to make up by lending some dragoons to help Sugetsu take down the rogue research lab. Sugetsu mentions that he won't be needing help with that, and their conversation ends with Suzaku hoping to do more business with him in future. As the call ends, Sugetsu makes a call to assemble basically everyone to set out to war against the rogue research lab. He seems like he has been waiting for this kind of scenario for a very long time. Uka, Usagi, and Mari are locked up in the research lab. Since Mari was an information broker at the border, she tells them about the rumors of the Dark Elves being revived. As they discuss, Isuka comes to their cell. She introduces herself as Ikagura's sister and mentions that she's surprised someone like Ikaruga could fit in with them. She asks if they're her friends or pawns, and they seem confident that they are her friends and that they know her. Usagi gives them a recap of Ikaruga, just to prove she's not who they think she is. Ikaruga and Isuka had been scientists right from when they were supposed to be watching Cocomelon. They did a lot of advanced things and have always been close, until Ikaruga started reading a book and got curious about family, friends, and comrades. Discovering that there's a lot she didn't know about outside the lab, she felt the place was too cramped for her. Ikaruga resurrected a wood elf that possessed no mana in hopes of being thrown out for the failure, but the other scientists paid for it instead with their lives. Ikaruga got emotional with the elf, which was locked up, and even named it Canaria. That night, she stole the lost matrix and left despite Isuka's plea against it. Ikaruga would take Canaria along, but she wasn't in her cell. Ikaruga tells her story to Takeru, adding that she came to the academy to keep the lost matrix away from Alchemist. Takeru is curious about why Ikaruga left for the border alone, and why she attempted to cut a deal using the lost matrix. According to him, she should have told him, and maybe he'll help or stop her, depending on whether she's doing good or bad. Ikaruga distracts Takeru well enough to stick an injection in Bro's body. The drug messes with Takeru's movements and he can't stop Ikaruga as she gets up and continues her business, meeting Isuka. She makes Isuka confirm that she won't back out of the deal, threatening to do this and that to her if she goes back on her word. Usagi, Uka, and Mari get dumped out, unkidnapped. As soon as the vehicle zooms off, Usagi starts in the direction of the rogue lab. She feels Ikaruga negotiated for their release and she wants to go back for Ikaruga, but Uka stops Usagi as she wants to know if Usagi still trusts Ikaruga after learning about her backstory. Usagi doesn't care about her backstory, she just knows her friend isn't around and she wants to bring her back. That being said, Uka understands as well as Mari and they agree to tag along. Just then, a bunch of dragoons drive past them heading for the rogue lab. They suspect it's the enemy for a brief second but later realize they're from campus. Just then, Sugetsu arrives and makes a stop by them. He asks what they're doing out there and they return the question. Sugetsu only discloses that they're going to war, and after inquiring about Takeru and Ikaruga, he hands Uka and the rest weapons to join the fray. Takeru struggles to move out of the safe house he was kept in by Ikaruga, but he can barely move, and Lapis offers to assist him. Takeru goes through his Power Rangers type transformation and is ready to throw hands and save his platoon. He clears a bunch of dragoons around the lab and aims to get to the top of the building after Lapis signals him about some powerful anti-magic material at the top. When Takeru asks, Lapis says she can't fly, but alternatively she can glide in the air after a high jump like Batman. With this, she violently launches Takeru into the air towards the top of the building. It looks cool, but not as cool as our dude Sugetsu, who is aura farming better than Henry Cavill's Superman at this point. With just a few shots from his gun, he wipes out a wave of dragoons and doesn't even stress about it. Takeru is still fighting when Uka joins in, helping him take out an income dragoon he wasn't paying attention to. He's surprised to see her, and Usagi is around as well, in her sniper position some distance away, with Mari. Uka warns that if the Inquisitors discover Ikaruga's involvement in the Dark Elves experiment, she'll be arrested. So, Takeru and Uka decide to find Ikaruga first, with Usagi and Mari as backup. Ikaruga and Isuka have their siblings back and forth word exchange. Isuka hates Ikaruga for leaving her back then. She believes they would have made so much progress if she hadn't left with the lost matrix. Ikaruga explains that she needed to be free, to explore other things outside of science, and although that doesn't make Isuka less upset, she says she has come to take Isuka along. Isuka isn't nonchalant as she is most times. In fact, she's so chalant that she makes Hamlet look stoic. Despite Ikaruga trying to get to her, genuinely, she doesn't give in. She pulls a gun on Ikaruga and shoots her in the leg, requesting the lost matrix. This is when Ikaruga spills the beans, revealing that she put it in her body. However the scientist stuff works, it basically turned her into some not very cool looking elf. Isuka can't believe her eyes and can't even find that possible. She soon starts laughing hard at the fact that, in the end, Ikaruga can't fight the weirdness in their genes, given that she did something that crazy. Ikaruga is on a different power scale and could level the entire building with a single blast. And yeah, Isuka still has a gun pointed at her, almost like when Black Widow was was target practicing using a pistol in preparation to fight Thanos. As the confrontation intensifies, Isuka begins to emotionally unravel. She struggles through various stages of processing the fact that Ikaruga abandoned her. The atmosphere starts to calm, and Asuka appears less violent, revealing her genuine hurt. Just then, Haunted suddenly appears. He's really excited to discover this side of Asuka. Things go downhill from here. Meanwhile, Takeru and the others are fighting hard and are gradually exhausting their strength, mana, and ammo. Haunted strikes down Isuka terminally right before Ikaruga, and Ikaruga is beyond devastated. She attacks Haunted, and the power clash levels a portion of the building. She tries to heal Isuka but can't even hold her form together. Isuka asks her to let it go and mentions that Canaria is still alive and Valhalla has her, so Ikaruga has to live on. She takes her last breath and Ikaruga is devastated, not even allowed the space to mourn as Haunted comes back to the scene taunting. He admires Ikaruga's display of strength and asks her to join him, but that's not even an option as she shoots on the spot. This doesn't do much to Haunted, and he's now decisive on destroying her. As he leaves the scene, he summons a robotic dragon, the kind of thing that could possibly go toe-to-toe with Godzilla. Kidding, Takeru hurries to the rescue, catching Ikaruga, who is doing the Mary Jane thing, falling from a wrecking building. Lapis analyzes the dragon and assesses that Takeru stands close to no chance of defeating it. It's like putting Jake Paul against Mike Tyson in his prime. However, Ikaruga doesn't agree with the odds as there's a way to defeat the dragon, given it isn't even a real one at that. The dragon is still wreaking havoc when Ikaruga starts attacking. He's to distract it while Usagi takes a shot at its weak spot, the flight engine in its spine, with an anti-ballistic cannon. She only has limited shots and misses basically all, until she finally locks in with the final shot and hits the target. One shot isn't enough to take down the dragon, and it strikes Takeru while he is about to be relieved that Usagi made the shot. Uka rushes to help him, but the dragon attacks her as well. This enrages Takeru, or perhaps motivates him, and he strikes the dragon's engine with his sword, but his mana isn't enough. Just when he fears for the worst, Mary gives her mana to him and he transfers it all into his final strike, pulls some crazy moves and finally takes down the monster. He lies exhausted and relieved as the monster bites the dust. The battle is over, and everyone is going through checkup and treatment. Ikaruga sits in the quiet, away from the others, and Takeru joins her. Even though she tries to be composed, Takeru lets her know she can count on him with whatever issues she has. Back at the academy, Ikaruga has discovered another mission, an illegal magic artifact trade scheduled for that night. They need to go undercover to catch the criminal. Aoka is eager to get on it, but Ikaruga doesn't believe they're up to the task, especially Aoka. Aoka is offended and even more resolved to take the mission, but she soon realizes what Ikaruga meant. She definitely can't do this. It's like expecting a cat to act like a golden retriever. On the other hand, Usagi and Mari were made for this. They get along well with the men, but Uka's performance is threatening to blow their cover. She can't believe she let Ikaruga bait her. A man approaches her and she lashes out at him, nearly causing a scene, until Takeru intervenes professionally. Takeru seems to fit in perfectly, like he's been undercover since birth. He spots the target, signaling Uka. Taking the initiative, she moves to sit beside him. After a few drinks, the man wants to give his date a birthday gift and accidentally brushes against Uka. She screams, punches him, and then shoots at the present. Concerned, the others realize they still haven't seen the artifact, but they must cover for Uka. To their disappointment, it turns out to be just a gamepad. The real criminal gets alerted and makes a run for it, but Uka is too stunned to join the chase. Fortunately, the group manages to catch him and retrieve the artifact. Uka apologizes for her mistake while the others try to brush it off. However, Ikaruga can't help but tease her about it. Now to the artifact. They're not sure what it does, but Ikaruga says it's low grade. This is disappointing, especially since they might face penalties for Uka's earlier outburst. Once again, Ikaruga points out Uka's fault. They decide to figure out what the ring does before submitting it for authentication. Ikaruga says that the worst case scenario is a love spell. As they debate who will try on the ring, it accidentally slips onto Takeru's finger, and Stuttle, the Hairu's finger. It turns out to be a ring of drunkenness, causing everyone, including Ikaruga, to become intoxicated and act funny. Such torture for poor Takeru. They soon go on their next mission. This time it's to a local beach where summer refuses to end since the beach opened. Usagi guesses that it could be a magic artifact or a witch's doing. However, Mari doubts it's a witch, as locking a season is nearly impossible even for highly skilled witches. Ikaruga, on the other hand, is pissed that her least favorite weather has been extended. She believes that whoever is responsible should be executed. Takeru suggests they should also enjoy themselves while investigating. Upon arriving at the beach, they split up to search for any clues along the shore. Uka soon spots Mari having fun in the water, and Usagi is ready to join in. Ikaruga, however, is just chilling. Uka is frustrated as they should be working, but is eventually persuaded to try on a swimsuit from Ikaruga. She put one on, claiming that it would make underwater investigations easier. Before long, they're all slacking off and playing at the beach, except for Ikaruga, of course, who isn't a fan of summer. Lapis becomes curious about some men fishing, and Takeru explains the activity to her. After lunch, Mari teases Uka for forgetting their mission, but Uka defends herself, stating that an army doesn't march on an empty stomach. They decide to get popsicles, but find that only 3 are left. Just then, Takairu is suddenly struck by nature's call and hastily heads to the bathroom. Lapis, knowing no boundaries, wants to accompany him, but Usagi and Mari manage to stop her. Uka then notices someone being carried away and asks what happened. She learns that the person was attacked by a giant monster offshore and nearly drowned. The girls realize that their culprit is a magical creature. Lapis knows about it. It's called the Inviter of Summer. They agree to begin their investigation immediately, but Uka can't join. Apparently she can't swim. Sis was out here earlier for underwater investigation. Meanwhile, she sinks faster than Wi-Fi in horror movies. Ikaruga, on the other hand, just doesn't want a part in it, and we know why Takeru Takaru can't join them. This leaves Usagi, Mari, and Lapis, whom Usagi calls the Mini 35th Platoon. Mari argues that her height excludes her from being Mini, but the others remind her of what's Mini. Excited to begin the hunt, Usagi is quickly reminded by Mari that they have no plan to capture the giant sea monster. Lapis has an idea. It's using the other girls as bait. They don't like this, but before they can successfully argue a change of plan, the monster takes the bait. Lapis, despite being chill, doesn't know what to do next and asks Takaru, but bro is in no position to help. Lapis continues to maintain composure while the other girls struggle for their lives. They yell at her to pull the line, and when she does, it snaps. Now they're cooked. Fortunately, Takaru finally makes it out of the bathroom. He transforms into his witch hunter form and heroically jumps in to save the day. Unfortunately, he sinks to the bottom because of his armor. Usagi and Mari are mad frustrated at this point. Usagi then suggests that Takaru could use a fishing rod, but he misinterprets it and thinks she wants him to dance. Honestly, I'd be furious too. Fortunately, Lapis understands it. She transforms the sword into a fishing rod, which Takaru uses to hook the monster, allowing the girls to escape. Uka finally makes herself useful by disabling Mari's collar, allowing her to use magic. Mari then pulls the water up while Takaru and Usagi swing the monster onto the shore. Once the mission is complete, the team gets back into their uniforms and prepares to head home. Oka rewards the Mini 35th Platoon with the remaining popsicles for saving the day. Wait, that's all they get for risking their lives? But who am I to complain? They absolutely love it. Takeru goes to visit his sister at a high-security facility where she's being held. Kiseki is glad to see her brother. He says that she looks like she might have gotten taller, and she replies that it's probably due to sleeping a lot. They say the more you sleep, the more you grow. Well, now we know why you're not tall. Kiseki compliments Takaru, saying he has become more handsome, and asks him to share stories about his school. He tells her about his new platoon members, and she playfully teases him about falling in love with Uka. Takeru denies it, claiming what he feels is more of admiration. Although Kiseki feels jealous, she pretends to be happy for him and expresses joy in seeing him grow into a wonderful person. However, Takaru feels terrible that she is confined in this facility and wishes he could provide her with a normal life. Just then, a guard interrupts their moment, announcing that their time is up. Takaru promises to visit again before leaving, while Kiseki is left feeling sad. The 35th Platoon is on another mission, pursuing an illegal trader. The criminals use a spell that enhances the speed of their bike, but Uka quickly catches up due to a modification on her bike made by the mad scientist Ikaruga. Uka directs the criminals down a track where Takaru is waiting, ready to farm Aura. He successfully takes them down in a single strike, securing the targets. Back at the academy, the team checks their performance on the board. They seem to have gained a lot of points from their recent hard work. Uka observes that Takaru looks tired and asks if he is okay. She reminds him not to push himself too hard and encourages him to rely on her if he's in trouble. She even suggests he visit his sister. Takaru appreciates her concern, but once alone, he reverts to a sob state. He looks up and is surprised to see Akira, but someone crosses his field of vision, and he sees that it's actually Sugetsu and Kyoya. Surprisingly, Kyoya survived the previous attack, but he seems different. When Takaru asks about Akira, Kyoya angrily calls him a traitor. Sogetsu and Kyoya go to check on Kiseki, where the scientists inform them that she is nearing cardiac arrest. They've been drugging her for more than 30 hours with doses 100 times stronger than the lethal dose for an ordinary human. Hayato realizes that something is different and asks if something happened when Takaru visited her. Sogetsu explains that whenever Takaru visits, Kiseki's mental vitals stabilize, which is beneficial for them. A scientist then announces that Kiseki has entered cardiac arrest and will awaken shortly. They instruct all Inquisitors present to remain on high alert. When Kiseki resurrects, the scientist doesn't detect any mana particles. Sogetsu explains that her power does not relate to mana. That's how the demon works, and they still do not fully understand it. He reveals that when her power is released, anything it touches becomes part of her. They suspect that if left unchecked, the corrosion will repeat endlessly, potentially consuming the entire planet. Sugetsu claims that it pains him to unalive the innocent girl repeatedly, which we know is probably a lie, but they need to keep dragging the demon out and destroying them until there's nothing left. Suddenly, Kiseki remembers her brother and imagines Uka taking him away, which upsets her and triggers the demon within her. The scientists attempt to subdue her, but nothing works. Kyoya can't stand it and tries to leave, but Sugetsu stops him, ordering Hayato to deal with Kiseki. He notes that Kiseki is no longer the same girl from 5 years ago, but Hayato has no issues facing her, even if it costs him his life. He approaches, instructing all Inquisitors to retreat and seal the barriers behind him. Hayato courageously faces the demon, ready to fight, but Kiseki's only concern is her brother. Meanwhile, the 35th Platoon is on another undercover mission. This time, they know better than to put Uka out for public interaction. Ikaruga is overseeing from above, while Usagi and Mari are doing the hard work. People seem to shun Mari and take from Usagi instead, which doesn't surprise anyone. Takeru is on the lookout and informs them of the target's arrival. It's a B threat level wizard. The plan is to place a transmitter on him to locate his hideout. Usagi tries to grab the magician's attention, but fails. However, the bodyguard seems to notice Mari and takes the sample product. The clever magician realizes their plan and attacks, but Mari quickly uses her shield to defend. Aoka jumps in to intervene, but monsters begin to emerge from the bullet shells. Aoka tells Takaru to pursue the targets while the rest handle the monsters. Takeru chases the criminals into a dark alley. He pauses as he hears something terrible happen in the shadows. Suddenly, Kiseki emerges, having followed the sound of Takeru's heartbeat and found him. Looks like someone failed to subdue her. She slumps against him, and Takeru, surprised to see her, catches her. Kiseki says she wanted to see him and wanted him to hold her like that. Takeru, however, is terrified, realizing what she has done. Just then, Aoka and Santa's maidens catch up, asking who the girl is. Takaru panics and threatens them to stay away, but Aoka refuses, saying that she won't let him suffer alone. Takaru apologizes and explains that Kiseki is more dangerous dangerous than they could ever imagine. He reassures them that as long as he's with her, he won't let her harm them, declaring that he will stop her no matter what. He finally reveals that she is his sister, threat level SS. Meanwhile, Sugetsu is calling out for Hayato amidst the rubble. Fortunately, Hayato has survived. He apologizes for allowing her to escape, but Sugetsu tells him they were only able to suppress her frenzy thanks to his bravery. However, they must find her soon, as the world is in danger. Hayato agrees to begin the search immediately, and Sugetsu instructs him to team up with Kyoya. Sugetsu is left pondering how to fix the damage caused. Kiseki wakes up to find her brother by her side. She's disappointed that she sent people to the afterlife, but Takeru consoles her by saying it's not her fault. Kiseki insists that her body acts to grant her wishes, but Takeru refuses to agree, saying that it's her body at fault, not her heart. Good thing Uka interrupts them, cause that argument could have gone on for much longer. Uka introduces herself to Kiseki, who nervously introduces herself in return. Uka assures Kiseki that she is safe and that she will never abandon her, but Kiseki remains silent. Takeru explains that Kiseki is quite shy, having never had a proper conversation with anyone but him. Uka understands but then requests to speak with Takeru privately. Once alone with the girls, Takeru reveals that Kiseki deleted several people in their hometown. He adds that she cannot control her powers and only goes berserk when she feels threatened, but she is normally well behaved. Ikaruga, the science nerd, knows what Kiseki has. It's called overflow syndrome. This happens when a witch gains magical powers despite not coming from a magical lineage. Normally, this condition can be suppressed, but Kiseki produces an extraordinary amount of mana. Usagi expresses concern for their safety, but Ikaruga reassures her that Kiseki must have used a massive amount of mana on her way there, so it should take a while for her mana to be restored. Takeru is grateful for Ikaruga's explanation. Takeru suggests they take Kiseki back to the facility, although this is a difficult decision for him. Aoka agrees to escort her to the restricted zone. Takeru is surprised and asks if she won't call the Inquisition to send witch hunters, but Aoka explains that their phones aren't working. Takeru realizes this is her doing. Although Uka knows it breaks protocol, she prioritizes friendship and asks Takeru to take an hour or so for some sibling bonding. The other girls agree, but tease her for acting differently around Takeru. The girls approach poor Kiseki, eager to dress her up for the outing. Kiseki tries on different outfits until she finds one she likes. She thanks them for their help. On their date, Kiseki shares how well Takeru's platoon members treated her, leading them to discuss each girl in the group. Kiseki then asks for a favor. Takeru is ready to do anything for her, but then she drops a bomb. She wants him to end her life. Kiseki says her powers are getting stronger by the day, and they keep trying to grant her wishes. She fears that she will delete many people again, far more than last time, so she must leave. She wants only Takeru to do it. Takeru refuses, insisting that even if everyone in the world wants her dead, he will always want her to live. He promises that if he ever has to end her life, that would be the day he dies too, but he believes that now is not the time. Takeru vows to protect her until she reaches her limit. Kiseki feels reassured and promises to hang in there a while longer. Meanwhile, out in the woods, Orochi returns home to find Kanaria already waiting. They are both part of Valhalla. Orochi informs Kanaria that the target they were supposed to rescue has escaped from prison. Kanaria wants to move in and destroy the academy, but Orochi tells her that would be a foolish move. Their task is much simpler. They are ordered to capture the target, Kiseki. On their way back, Kiseki and Takeru come across an amusement park. Kiseki shows interest in the Ferris wheel, and Takeru wants to take her for a ride, but they are found by Keiya. He is accompanied by Akira, who we all thought was dead. She has been turned into a relic eater, and her master is Koya. Takeru urges Kiseki to run and immediately summons Lapis. Both boys transform into their witch hunter forms and start fighting, causing destruction around them. As they try to overpower each other while also arguing, Nero reveals herself as the real relic eater, having only taken Akira's form. Kyoya pushes Takeru away and shoots at Kiseki, but Takeru takes the hit. They charge at each other again, but Hayato intervenes, scolding them for fighting in their witch hunter forms in a civilian area. Takeru turns to Kiseki, but she has already been captured. He asks for permission to talk to her, and it is granted. Takeru apologizes for not being able to show her more of the outside world. He promises to visit her soon, and Kiseki sadly agrees to wait for him. She hugs her brother one last time before passing out. They had already sedated her. Sugetsu then arrives, stating that helping a major threat stay at large is a crime, and sends Takeru to solitary confinement. Takeru asks what will happen to Kiseki, and Sugetsu tells him that the alchemist has offered to help suppress her powers. She will be transferred to another facility. When Takeru asks where the facility is, Sugetsu refuses to tell him, stating they cannot allow her to go berserk again, especially with Valhalla targeting her. He claims he is doing it to help the siblings, and with that, he walks away. Orochi and Kanaria decide it's the right time to strike as Kiseki is being transported back. Meanwhile, other vehicles are sent out as decoys. One of the aircraft gets attacked by Kanaria, but she soon discovers it is just a decoy. The main vehicle is alerted about the attack. Kyoya, in his new Angry Bird personality, just wants to off witches. When he asks Hayato which side he is on and doesn't get the answer, Kyoya tells him not to get in his way. He wants to wipe out all the heretics in the world, and much to his satisfaction, their vehicle gets attacked next. Both Koya and Hayato run out to defend. Koya is ecstatic about the chance to battle the dragoons. Let's forget the size difference. These guys are up to the task, hopefully. In a flashback, Takeru remembers when he was a boy and discovered someone locked inside the storehouse. It sounded like a girl. When he approached his father about it, he was told that she was his sister. However, she was a demon. For generations, all the females in the family had been born as demons and were to be eliminated immediately. Over the years, however, the demon's powers grew, and Kiseki was born immortal. She kept respawning each time they attempted to unalive her. Yes, they even tried beheading her. Then one day, Kiseki escaped. Their father failed to stop her and handed his sword to Takeru, giving him the choice to either end or protect his his sister. Kiseki begged him to end her life, but he refused. While the demons wanted destruction, Kiseki kept insisting that was not her desire. Eventually, the demon overpowered her and grew very large. Takeru wakes up, calling out his sister's name. Uka is also locked up with him. She apologizes, claiming fault for everything, but Takeru reassures her that he got to spend time outside with his sister because of her, and he thanks her. Aoka explains that she wanted to share some of his burdens because she feels deeply indebted to him. Over the past few months, she has started to find peace in their teamwork. As someone who has lived only for revenge, she finds the calm comforting. As she talks about how Takeru has changed her for the better, Bro strikes the humble hero pose. Uka concludes by offering to carry half of Takeru's burdens as well. He thanks her. Nagaru comes to let them out as she knows some of the guards. She informs Takeru that the vehicle transporting his little sister was attacked by Valhalla. Takeru and Uka immediately rush out, only to find the rest of the team already waiting for them. Takeru is touched and accepts their help, which surprises the girls. At the attack site, Hayato and Kyoya have successfully eliminated all the dragoons. Orochi finally reveals himself, sporting questionable shoes. He introduces himself as one of the leaders of Valhalla. Hayato orders Kaya to transport Kazeki to the destination. Kaya, annoyed, complies. Hayato pulls out his game changer, ready for a fight. Orochi is amused to discover that he is a hybrid. Meanwhile, Takeru is trying to reach Kazeki as fast as possible. Lapis warns him that if they run at full speed, they won't have enough mana for combat. But Takeru does care and insists she should speed up. While driving, Koya laughs hysterically as he realizes the irony of the situation. How can an inquisitor guard a heretic? He stops the van and goes out to off the poor girl. Takeru arrives just in time to stop him. He asks what Kiseki did to Kyoya, but Kyoya replies that she doesn't have to do anything. He simply hates that her kind is living freely and wants to massacre them all. Nero fully supports his hatred. Her job is to keep fanning the flames. Takeru tries to tell Kyoya that Nero is not Akira, but man's in denial and attacks Takeru instead. Takaru keeps dodging Kyoya's furious shots. Then, he suddenly charges through the flames and slices the next bullet like it's nothing. Bro's not playing anymore, but it's not clocking to Koya. He believes he can withstand the attack, but Takaru is basically a samurai. By the time he strikes his cool landing pose, Kyoya's gun is chopped up and goes up in flames. Takeru quickly moves on, searching for Kiseki, but Kyoya refuses to give up. Takeru warns him to back down, or he might end up taking a dirt nap. Kyoya refuses and tries to attack, but he is shot by Uka, who just arrived. Usagi is positioned on a rooftop, locked onto him. Kyoya then decides to surrender, but he warns them that they're blind and will regret not ending Kiseki now. He jumps into the river below. Takeru is concerned, but Uka assures him that Kyoya's relic eater will keep him alive. She urges him to take his sister and return to the academy. Takeru releases Kiseki. Meanwhile, Sugetsu watches, hoping Takeru will have to eliminate her since she will allow it. Kiseki feels the demons awakening within her and pleads with Takeru to make it stop as she is getting memory flashes. She tells him it's time for them to keep their promise and die together. However, before Takeru can respond, Haunted makes his dramatic entrance. He's here to pick up Kazeki. Kazeki looks up to find her brother hanging from one of Haunted's vines, wounded. She loses control, and her power begins to spread uncontrollably. Ikaruga calls on Usagi to regroup. Hearing the commotion, Orochi becomes annoyed, knowing that Haunted has done something foolish again. Siege, Orochi. The demons continue to multiply, consuming everything in its path. Meanwhile, Sugetsu watches and Suzaku joins him. She likes what she's seeing and even asks if it can be cloned, to which Sugetsu replies that it can't. He points out that they're sacrificing the entire area to satisfy her curiosity and have already suffered significant losses. Suzaku offers to help clean up the mess, but Sugetsu refuses. He mentions that they may not need to do anything as there is an ultimate weapon. He suggests a bet. Will Takeru be able to eliminate his sister or not? Kaseki is half unconscious while the demons continue to grow. Haunted remarks that this explains why Valhalla wants her. Aoka checks on Takeru. He doesn't seem well. Haunted recognizes them as Mari's friends. When Uka demands that he hand Takeru over, Haunted refuses, stating that Takeru is bait for Kaseki. Uka decides to use force to take him back. Haunted effortlessly evades her attacks and engages her in combat. Uka struggles to keep up and ends up with a sword in her chest. As Haunted mocks her, the demons sweep by, but he manages to escape. Uka finally resolves to form a contract with Vlad. He reminds her that she had previously stated she wouldn't accept the contract until she met her target. Uka responds that her pursuit of revenge won't stop, but now is the right time to fight for the people beside her. For some reason, Vlad continues talking while the poor girl struggles to stay alive. He explains that if she had tried to form a blood pact with him out of petty revenge, he would have consumed her. However, he finds her current desire noble and agrees to the contract, transforming Uka into her witch hunter form. While Haunted contemplates whether to have some fun fighting her, Uka attacks, destroying all the demons around while Haunted shields himself. He transforms into his weapon form as well. He decides to leave the capturing to Orochi and the others, choosing instead to have fun with Uka. The fight begins, and this time, Uka is able to keep up. She finally plunges a sword into his chest as well, and blasts him into the legion of demons. His vines disappear, freeing Takeru. Uka attempts to help Takeru up, but the demons attack them. Fortunately, the other girls arrive just in time for Mari to destroy the swarm. Uka assists Takeru into the van, and they drive off. Ikaruga comments that Kiseki's power is greater than she expected, and Uka asks if Takeru told her about it. Ikaruga teases Uka for being jealous even in this situation, but Uka has no time for jokes and asks her to tell them anything else she knows. They have to stop Kiseki somehow. Ikaruga explains that to suppress Kiseki's power, they must continue destroying her overflowing power until her frenzy subsides. However, they have no idea how long that might take. Hours? Days? Or until the world is destroyed, since killing the main body is impossible. As long as Kiseki doesn't accept to be unalived by someone, her powers will continue to reject death. Takaru is their only hope. Suddenly, demons attack their vehicle, causing it to crash. The girls do their best to defend themselves and protect Takaru, who is currently being healed by his relic eater. Auka tries to summon her witch hunter form, but Vlad warns that she has already used a lot of blood against Haunted. Auka insists it will all be for nothing if they don't succeed. Vlad transforms her, and Auka places Mari in charge before heading out. She doesn't want Takaru to have to kill his own sister and endure further suffering, so she vows to destroy as many demons as possible. The demons particularly resent her for being close to Takeru. Takeru is consumed by guilt, believing he is the root cause of everything that has happened due to his inability to act in the past. He thinks things could have turned out differently. Lapis tells him it's not too late and offers to grant him all of her true powers. However, she asks if he can give up everything he holds dear to achieve his goals, including his humanity. Takeru thinks everything over, a little too much Ibuka, no judgment though. He considers everyone, but before he even says the words, Lapis kisses him to seal the deal. She then recites an incantation that mentions seizing Takaru's soul and upgrades him to God Hunter mode. Meanwhile, Kiseki weakly tries to stop the demons from fulfilling what she insists are not her wishes. Auka destroys more of the demons before deciding to check on her comrades, but the demons evolve, gaining the ability to fly. Auka successfully eliminates most of them. Usagi and the others are also trying their best to hold out, but they're running low on ammunition. Suddenly, Takeru steps out in his new glorious form, annihilating every demon within the area. The girls watch in awe. Auka approaches and suggests that they work together as a team, but Takaru drains her power and hands her over to the others, urging them to escape while he is still himself. Mari attempts to stop him, but his mind is made up. He insists that he isn't fighting just for his sister. Finally, he apologizes, saying he can't be with them anymore. Despite their pleas, he leaves. Takaru arrives where Kiseki is. She is relieved that he is going to put an end to her suffering, but that is not what Takaru intends to do. Just then, the nosy Haunted interrupts, mocking Takaru. He says he must take Kiseki even if dead. They begin to fight, and the demons try to stop Haunted because Takaru is supposed to leave this world with them. Haunted retorts that he will have to off Takaru too then, and when Kiseki hears this, she wants to leave this world quickly. In a moment of frustration, she blames Takaru for what she has become, saying he should have eliminated her back then. Takeru refuses to give up. Haunted destroys his mask, and Takeru is pissed as fudge. He wants to take his sister back and return to his friends, but the demons insist on leaving this world with him as he promised. Kiseki tries to deny it, but the demons accuse her of lying and swallow her. Takaru attempts to help her, but Haunted stands in his way. He finally pulls up his samurai skills and destroys the dude. Then he rushes into the pile of demons searching for Kiseki. When he finds her, he pulls her out, ending her demonic frenzy. Takaru reassures her that he will continue to fight for her as many times as necessary until he can save her. As they embrace, the demons disintegrate and vanish. Suzaku is disappointed. Orochi, who has been engaged in battle with Hayato this whole time, decides it's time to retreat. Before he leaves, Sugetsu approaches. It turns out they met each other 150 years ago, obviously not on good terms. Sugetsu is up to something sinister, and Orochi knows this. Takaru's teammates rush to his side, expressing their concerns. Takaru admits that he hasn't truly saved Kiseki. Instead, he feels he's putting her through more suffering. His teammates reassure him that they are here for him and that he can rely on them. They want to help carry half of his burden. Takaru feels grateful to have their support.